Hi, I'm Kyle. I'm the Orchard and Farm Manager at Wilson's Orchard and Farm. And today we're standing in front of a new crop we have at Wilson's, and that is our cherry tomatoes. This is our first, outside of pumpkins, our first kind of venture into vegetables. Although cherry tomato is actually a fruit, as many of you might know. And botanically speaking, it is actually the only berry we grow out here. Strawberries are achenes, and raspberries are druplets. I guess now we can be a berry patch. This is our first berry we've been growing. So we kind of worked with a greenhouse in Kelowna and had these started in early April and then planted these out May 15th or so. Actually wanted to get them in a little earlier. Then we had a frost come in and decided to hold fire at the last minute, and it turned out to work great. We had a late frost we weren't expecting, and that would have nipped them in the bud. But so we got these in the ground in mid-May, and they started producing for us early to mid-July. And right now, at the beginning of August, they're really hitting their stride, and we have a lot of tomatoes out here ready to go. And I'm actually surprised to be standing in front of these looking so good as they do now. The first week of July, we had a flash flood out at Wilson's, and this whole patch was underwater. Our flowers are also in the same patch here. And the water is so high, you could barely see the tops of some of the tallest plants. And I thought we were done for, and that was it. Tomatoes don't really like being wet too long, have wet feet too long. But water receded, it dried out, and these guys are still happy as clams. So very happy to see these guys still growing and loving life. So tomatoes fall into two categories. There's determinate tomatoes that grow to a set height and produce a lot of tomatoes really all together ready at once. These, however, are indeterminate tomatoes. So we got our first crop in mid-July, and they'll keep on growing and producing fruit for us until really till frost kills it. So they'll keep going on a long harvest window for us. So from July through October, we should be having these puppies humming. We planted about 6 different varieties, all cherry tomatoes. We figured those would be the most attractive for a U-pick crowd, which is kind of what we go for out here at Wilson's. And yeah, I guess we can dive in on the 6 different varieties we have out here. This first one here is called Indigo Cherry Drop. So it's so named because it has this indigo coloring on the top, and when it's ripe, it gets a nice orange to red. If you pick it orange, it'll last longer and kind of ripen slowly. And when it's fully ripe, it'll be red on the bottom. Let's see if I can find a nice one here. Indigo on top, red on bottom. If you look close, you can see some dirt on it. That's from that flood I was talking about earlier. It kind of deposited some dirt on it. But you take it home, wash it off. She's good to put in your mouth. So this tomato is pretty big for cherries. I mean, some are small, but they can get quite large for cherry tomatoes. It has a firmer flesh and kind of a balanced flavor, I would say. It has some of that umami, but still some sweetness. It is semi-resistant to cracking and just kind of a unique and beautiful cherry tomato we have here. Here we are standing in front of my and the farm crew's absolute favorite cherry tomato. This one's called Sungold. Gets its name from when it's ripe. It's a nice gold color, very attractive. It's a kind of a traditional to smaller sized cherry tomato, as you can see, but its flavor is just fantastic. It has a thin skin, softer flesh, and a big pop of juice when you crack into it. That is, it's got some acid to it, but good amount of sweetness, so it's very balanced, very juicy, a thin skin. It's just our absolute favorite to pop as we walk through the tomato patch. So here we have a cherry tomato called Super Sweet 100. As the name implies, it's a sweeter tomato, not that much acid, and it has a somewhat firm flesh. And the big thing about this one is it produces these huge clusters with, I think that's where it's got its name, just like 100 tomatoes on a cluster. I mean, that's just a ginormous amount of tomatoes coming off of one cluster. So that's kind of this one's claim to fame. It is an improvement on Sweet 100. It just has a little bit better disease resistance. Here we have black cherry. This cherry tomato is a little firmer flesh, but with a lot of juice kind of in that area. It's on the bigger end for a cherry tomato. Kind of unique for cherry tomatoes. It does have sweetness, but it really packs a lot of that savory umami flavor that you usually only find in the bigger tomatoes, not necessarily in cherry. So it's very rich flavor, but with nice juice and a little sweetness to remind you that it is a cherry tomato. Alrighty, here we have Cherry Bomb. This is kind of your classic looking cherry tomato, both in size and kind of the red appearance. What it is really well known for is disease resistance. So it is a good choice for organic growers, resistant to late blight, as well as fusarium wilts, the races 1, 2, 3. So really grower friendly, kind of your classic cherry tomato, nice balance of sweetness and acid, and kind of a medium textured flesh with a little pop of juice. So nice classic cherry tomato. All right, the last cherry tomato we're growing out here is called Purple Bumble Bee. It is a very unique looking cherry tomato. It's purple to pink flesh with green stripes down. It almost kind of reminds me of watermelon looking thing. So very attractive and unique appearance. It can get pretty large, so it's on a larger end for cherry tomatoes. And it is known for resistance to cracking, as well as long storage life and its ability to handle temperature extremes, especially high temperatures. High temperatures, everybody thinks of tomatoes as a heat-loving crop, and they do. But if you get above like 85, 90 degrees, the plants can get stressed, and specifically the pollen becomes unviable and you will not set fruit. But this particular cherry tomato seems to handle the extreme heat a little better than the others. It resists cracking and stores very well. So in addition to its unique appearance, it also has some other beneficial characteristics that convince us to keep growing.